Welcome to another exciting episode of the Luminary Panel, the entrepreneurial podcast where we fuel minds with insights and inspirations. My name is Liliana Fidua, and I'm so excited to introduce Shamaa Lyden, the founder and CEO of Systematic Selling. Shamaa has a unique story. From a business journalist to a commercial truck salesman who rose to become one of GM's top reps in the U.S., he has taken those experiences and created the Systematic Selling framework, a game changer for growth-minded founders looking to build sales systems that actually work. If you're ready to transform your sales process and build a business that you truly love, this episode is definitely for you. Let's get started. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Co Space and Clubhouse. As you guys know, we did the Luminary Panel Season 1 on Zoom, and so we were looking for a podcast studio to film. And now here I am in Co Space and Clubhouse, and here they have multiple rooms, one being the lounge, a conference room, and a podcast studio. They serve many different beverages, including tea, coffee, and kava. And their main mission is to be a place where people can come together and work together. So if you can, stop by. It's right outside of downtown Orlando, and it's a great place to work and meet others. Hope you try it.
All right, we're back with another episode of the Luminary Panel. And I got a good friend, Shamaa Lyden. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, Johnson. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Better that I got this book that you gave me.
Sweet.
We're going to dive into it a little bit in the conversation, but
Absolutely.
this book is definitely for the people that are founders and they feel like they're stopping themselves from growing. Not only growing themselves, growing the business, not only growing the business, but the people around them. So this allows you to face yourself, grow your business, grow yourself as a leader, right?
Wow. We can stop the podcast right now.
That was it?
This is the hype man right here.
No, man. Listen. Hey, listen. I'm going
You
to
nailed
you
it.
guys.
That's exactly.
So tell us a little bit more about the premise behind why you guys started. No, first off, let's introduce yourself.
Sure.
Who is Shamaa Lyden?
My name's Shamaa Lyden, and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Systematic Selling, and we provide sales systems coaching and training for growth-minded founders and business owners who are looking to scale their sales, but without all the chaos that typically comes with that. I'm an Orlando resident now for the past 12 years. Grew up down in South Florida, went to college in Birmingham, Alabama, at a school called Sanford University, where I ran cross country and track and met my wife there.
Nice. Hold on one second.
You bet.
So 12 years ago.
Yep.
Let's rewind a little bit further back.
Okay.
How did Shamaa get into entrepreneurship? Like, what was that? Like, what was your lifestyle like? What was that? What intrigued you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I just said I ran cross country and track at Sanford University. One of the guys I ran with, one of my teammates, his dad was a full-time freelance writer. He would hunt and fish for a living and write articles about it in all the national wildlife magazines. And I was intrigued by him, and he said, look, Sean, if you can succeed as a distance runner at a collegiate level, man, you've got everything it takes if you want to try this freelance writing thing out where you're essentially building your own business.
Yeah.
This is me in college. I was an English lit major, and I thought, hey, let me give this a shot. And so he became my mentor, who told me, he said, Sean, nobody cares how well you write unless you know how to sell what you write. And he was my introduction to what entrepreneurship was at that stage in the 1990s. And I took his advice in my first full year as a full-time freelance writer. I wrote and sold over 50 articles, landed a monthly column with Entrepreneur Magazine, which was fantastic in the sense that I got to interview other young entrepreneurs and what they were doing to grow their business. My column is called Guts because it's about that inner game of what it takes to succeed in business. Not only that initial, you know, escape velocity and building a startup, you know, getting it out of just simply are we going to survive this week, to building a business, but also dealing with all the head games that happen in your mind to sustain success.
Yeah.
And a lot of that I learned there is you know, reinforced in what me and David Harper and Russ Conlon put together.
I love that because, like you mentioned, entrepreneurship is not for the weak.
No.
It's for the mentally tough and the mentally insane.
Yes.
Because you're delusional at times, right? It's like
you're delusional most of the time.
Most of the time. But what I love about this book is it allows you to know that you're delusional, but take the delusional to help you rather than hurt you.
Yeah.
What is one of the best pieces of advice that you wrote into the book with your colleagues?
Yeah, and to clarify, there are two main concepts in that book: the great 8 virtues and the 3 wins, and then when you combine them, you create what's called the collaboration effect on profit. David Harper was the one who came up with the concept of the great 8 virtues. These are 8 virtues that if you apply them and use them to counteract their corresponding vices, then you put yourself in a better position to avoid self-sabotage and so forth. You know, examples of virtues and vices would be humility versus egotism, courage versus fear, empathy versus busyness. And so what often happens to us as founders and entrepreneurs is we battle these vices. Like the vices are the default mode. That's our initial software. In order to fix that, the virtues become that new operating system that takes out those bugs. So David Harper came up with that concept. In the second half of the book, there's the concept of the 3 wins. And both David and Russ work together at Legacy Advisory Partners. David's the founder. Russ is now CEO. He's David's son-in-law, but he grew up through the company in the past 10 years and has become CEO and is now taken, with his partner Mark Walker, has taken over the ownership of the company, while David is chairman and going, you know, taking on different challenges as he goes on. But Russ came up with the idea of the 3 wins, and what that is balancing the different interests in the company. You as the owner, the shareholder, the company's interest, that's the goose that lays the golden egg, and then the key leaders. For you to scale a company, you need strong leaders there. So it's balancing everyone's interests with the proper incentives. And that's what makes it sustainable. And in order for you to even be open to wanting to balance interests and incentives, you've got to have the virtues. And so where do I come into play on this? I've known David Harper for 30 years. He was one of my first ghostwriting clients.
Wow.
As I was a columnist for Entrepreneur. He was one of my first ghostwriting clients. In fact, he cut a check for me to buy a laptop and go into business for myself. So we go back a long way. And I met David back then, so we've had that long-term relationship. I've known Russ for the past 10 years, and we've collaborated on how do we get these ideas out to as many businesses as possible. We started out with an email newsletter in 2016, and we would send to their audience, and they would be coming back saying, hey, I know you guys sell financial services, but can you help us with instilling these virtues in our company? Can you help us in applying the 3 wins to our company?
Mm-hmm.
So what my role has been is, I call it being the grout guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they brought the tile. I would come and polish that tile in order to make it where people can clearly see what it is, and be the grout guy to bring these concepts together. And when you bring it together, you realize, whoa, wait a minute. If you have the virtues and you have everybody rowing in the same direction with the 3 wins, you get this collaboration effect. And you extend that out. If you're a business, you get that collaboration effect on profit. That's the key to scaling, and it's the key to making that scale and growth sustainable.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm gonna bring up a point in the book that I highlighted. I'm just say it's chapter 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say the title.
Yes.
The vices. We mentioned this earlier. Getting at the roots of founders syndrome.
Yeah.
So, to me, when I hear that, it's like, okay, you gotta do, like we said earlier, the inner game. We gotta do some deep inner work to figure out where these things that's causing you to like project onto the people that's trying to help you win. So
Yeah.
it may be your employees, or it may be a partner, or it may be an investor, or it may be your wife or husband, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
How did you figure out what your vices were, and how did you overcome them to be who you are now?
Great question. And I think it's important to point out that the subtitle of the book is Overcoming Founder Syndrome, with that word, the operative word being overcoming, because you never truly overcome.
Yeah.
It's not a set it and forget it program. It's a constant test where I am, or as you get into different phases, you start seeing vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
So in my own journey, I didn't have the quiz or the survey that we put together in the book, but I would learn what my weaknesses were through accountability, coming from both externally and internally. So externally from mentors, but also having a wise spouse who I could bounce things off of, who has no trouble pointing out holes in my thinking, which I love, so that I could figure out where my blind spots are. So one of the great 8 virtues is accountability. And it is so important to have that accountability mindset, to take ownership of who you are and what your results are, and to be open to other people pointing that out to you. And I will tell you that accountability is one of the most important. They're all important, but for me, accountability is one of the most important, because anytime I experience a setback, or mine, it's our human condition, my initial reaction is to try to find blame outside myself. The problem with that, it may feel good in the moment, but it disempowers you.
How?
It disempowers you because you have given up power to something else as to why you're in the situation that you're in. When you give power to something else, and if that something else doesn't turn the tide for you, you lose hope. The only way that you have hope is to know that you have power in that situation. And that's where accountability goes in, where you say, I am where I am right now because of decisions I've made up to this point, whether they were good or bad.
That's so good. How? So let's piggyback on that, or let's expound on the topic of accountability,
Yeah.
because obviously that is the make or break of you growing your business or you growing personally in your personal life.
Yeah.
How how difficult is it to help someone else recognize that they're not holding themselves accountable?
The Luminary Panel, our mission is to become an immediate resource to you as the aspiring entrepreneur. With that being said, we've partnered with SCG, Shamaa Consultant Group, the business development one-stop shop. They have everything you need as far as marketing, benchmarking, and so much more, so that we, as the Luminary Panel and SCG, can help you thrive in your business.
Your employee isn't doing something that you told them to do, or they're not executing up the level that they used to, or whatever the case is, and then they play the blame game.
Yeah.
Like, how do you switch that perspective in their eyes so that they can execute at a high level?
In some cases you can't, but you want to give the opportunity to do it. And one way I do it is I take the same framework I use when I'm coaching founders and I'm coaching their sales teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it be Socratic, not prescriptive. Meaning ask questions that draw them to a discovery of what they need to do so that they own it, versus being prescriptive and making statements. So you lead by questions. So if let's say, in a coaching perspective, then we can dig deeper and maybe a specific example that you might want to bring up. But like in a coaching perspective, a client might go, well, hey, what do you think I should do in this situation? Instead of me telling them, I go, what's your gut telling you? And they'll tell me something. And if they're on point, I'll be like, well, what's been holding you back? And get and start peeling the layers to get them to go where they take action.
Yeah.
If it's something that I think might be off base, I would go, how do you think that would play out? And so now I'm getting them to envision that probably wouldn't work out too well with them.
Yeah.
That's them saying it, not me. And so I get in the habit of asking questions to guide people to where they need to be. Because the moment I'm prescriptive, they can say, all right, but they'll never own it. And 9 times out of 10, they're just like, get out of my space. Or, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So you got to lead people to discovery. You can't tell them what to do.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we can end it right there. That's another mic drop, yo. Like, golly. No, that's perfectly said, because a lot of times, especially if you're, how some leaders aren't supposed to be the CEO, but they'd be a great COO?
Yeah.
It's because they don't know how to take direction of where, like, their company should go, right? Or they don't make the right decisions.
Right.
So that makes it a lot easier to delegate to people that you trust if you have the right questions in place so that they can realize how to execute at the highest level.
Yeah, 100%.
I just got so much value out of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of pivot.
Yeah.
Okay, you were a track runner.
Yep.
But also, you're a saxophonist.
Yeah.
Where did that passion come from, man?
Man, I tell you what. 7th grade, I was playing clarinet. I'm sitting there front row. All the other clarinet players. I'm the only dude looking around. I'm like, all right, could be worse, At the same time, I heard Clarence Clemens, who's the sax player for Bruce Springsteen. I heard the song Jungle Land. which if you've never heard it, it's got the most epic 2-3 minute long sax solo. Just absolutely amazing. Clarence Clemens is an amazing rock saxophonist. I heard that solo. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm going to play the sax.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, our school had a school saxophone. So we didn't have to buy one. And started playing in 8th grade. At the same time, I was doing sports. So I wasn't in like marching band or anything like that, but I had time to do jazz band. So continued playing. I'd play in church and stuff like that. And when I got to college, I didn't think I was going to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But on a whim, I tried out for the jazz band. And at this time, I didn't have the skill set anymore of reading rhythms in music and nailing that down.
Mm-hmm.
But I was completely fearless with improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
We had this first chair saxophonist in the jazz band that was fantastic at reading music. He can nail down rhythms like nothing else, great tone, everything. Absolutely froze on clean solos.
Mm-hmm.
So the band director, after trying out, he goes, he didn't say this, but essentially, yeah, you suck at rhythms, but man, you could jam off the chord charts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
Why don't you be sort of our lead alto B and be our soloist?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I had the opportunity to do that. And then later that year at Sanford University, they have this annual event called Step Sing, where all the fraternities, sororities, all the student groups like compete in this song and dance type of competition with, this overall theme, and there's a live pit band. Everything's student led. And I tried out for that as a sax player.
Mm-hmm.
Since a lot of it was chord charts, I got that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, as being a sax player, I met my wife.
No way.
Yeah.
So that's a crazy story, man.
So I was blessed to be in a situation where I could run on scholarship, but still have an opportunity at a collegiate level to play the horn. And and that led to me meeting my wife. So
Man, that is awesome. And I'm about to take a turn.
All right.
And it has everything to do with the story you just told me. So in the beginning, you mentioned how you heard the song.
Yep.
And you immediately went to your mom to say, hey, I want to play the sax. And she supported you wholeheartedly.
Yep.
If someone is on the opposite end where they want to take the jump, the leap of faith, with no support behind them, what would be your advice to help them get over the hump?
It's a great question, because if they have that deep down burning desire to get over that hump, even if they don't have external support, they're already 75% of the way there. Like they've got that internal drive, that fire. Then it's a matter of finding people who can be that support mechanism. Especially when you're young, there's always people out there that when they see someone has fire in their eyes, even if they're not getting any support at home or anything else like that, they'll do whatever it takes to help that person succeed.
Yeah.
And I thankfully had a mentor who not only helped me on the freelance writing side, but he was a great salesman, great businessman. And so he would write me back then we wrote letters. So he'd write me letters of encouragement to give me that support. even when I doubted myself. And look, you can have all the support in the world, and you'll still, all the drive in the world, and there'll still be those times that you just doubt yourself, and you're ready to call it. You're ready to call it quits. One thing my mentor told me is I was battling this early in my freelance writing career all those years ago, that it stuck with me to this day. Be like, man, John, I don't know if I can do this. He'd be like, Sean, you haven't earned the right to quit. So when you achieve this certain level, okay, you want to look at it and go, yeah, I'm ready to move on, then go move on. But you have all this talent, you have achieved X, Y, Z, and now you're looking at quit? You haven't earned that right. And that's what got me like, all right. So
Let's get him on.
Exactly. It was that he pointed to the competitor in me.
Wow.
That at that moment wanted to quit. He was like, no, you're not doing it because that's not you. You haven't earned that right.
Yo,
Yeah, I've carried that advice all these years.
You just gave it to me now. I'm using that.
Awesome.
Yo, Jesus. I'm glad we redid this.
Yeah,
so, like,
same here.
For the backstory, we actually shot an episode earlier in last month, and my computer was stolen. So a few people that I did the interview with, I had to reach out to them and say, hey, sorry about that. We may have to come bring you back in. Sean was like, no worries, bro. No worries. But I believe this one is way better than the last one.
I agree.
Just based off of, like, the conversation that we're having, the value that you're bringing, like, is well needed. Like,
awesome.
We're about to blow up because of this episode. Thanks.
I appreciate you.
So let's fast forward a little bit.
All right.
So you just got back from Louisiana.
Yeah.
How was that? And what was that about?
Man, it was awesome. So I was there, gave two-hour workshops on the topic of sink or swim is not a strategy. Sets 7 steps to set up your sales reps for success.
Wow.
And I was given to business owners, founders, sales leaders, and the biggest takeaway that I got from that was, wow, I'm hitting on a nerve. A lot of companies are struggling with how they're recruiting their sales reps, like what they're looking for, and what they're doing to train them to set them up for success. They're realizing, man, there's 7 steps here. Step 4 is hiring the right fit. And someone in the audience go, I know I'm not the only one in here, but it seems like we all just start on step 4 and not realizing there are 3 steps before this in terms of, proper strategic planning, auditing your sales systems, and then fixing those broken sales systems before you even bring in a new rep. It's like this just completely opened my eyes to that. And so seeing how that topic is hitting a nerve made me go, wow, we're moving in the right direction of where we're taking this company to help these businesses, especially companies that are, in the smaller stages, 0 to say 10 sales reps, on how to build that team in a way that improves performance, but also prevents the chaos that so often happens when you bring in these new reps.
Yeah. That's so interesting because in life in general, or like, this is an entrepreneur podcast. So, like, for example, people don't start because they feel like they have to be at a certain place before it's good enough to start.
Right.
So, for example, let's say I'm a jeweler. I'm saying, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. You know what? Forget that example. For the Luminary Panel.
Right. Good.
If I were to be like, all right, I need to have the perfect camera, I need to have the perfect place, I need to have this person in place. I need to have an editor. I need to have a content creation team. I need to have everything. I probably wouldn't start.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's because for me, it was like, okay, I got a burning desire for this. I know the market needs it because I feel it. Even if they don't, I'm doing it because I feel fulfilled in the space.
That's it.
And I know that it'll bring value to at least one person that it comes across.
There you go.
So my why in that moment wasn't just for me. It was for the people that could potentially be impacted. Why do you think so many people feel like they have to get so much done before they actually start to move forward in their entrepreneurship life or even some personal, like anything like that?
Fear of failure.
Mm.
And the reason being is that there is a greater initial dopamine hit of talking about what you want to do, and that is a lot more, feels a lot more comfortable and better than actually putting yourself out there and experiencing the pain that comes with being an entrepreneur. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
Yeah.
And
that's okay.
100%. Not everybody's wired for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're given different skills and abilities, and entrepreneurship is one of those things that it almost has to be that you can't do anything else. Like, you're just, it is such a calling.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of heavy lifting that goes into it, emotionally, physically, the long hours, the fears that you're constantly wrestling with. So the fear of failure is what holds them back. The encouragement I would get is to go, look, realize that when you do take that step, okay, it'll be tough. But think about the greater dopamine hit that you'll get with the wins that you'll start accumulating if you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, giving yourself that concept of, if I'm fearing failure here, and that's what it's like making me a perfectionist and trying to get everything going. Well, the sooner I get started, I will learn the things that I need to do in the moment. I'll learn the things that don't work in the moment. I can iterate and I can get to where I want to be and start feeling those real dopamine hits, not just of potential, but actually of accomplishment that will be so much greater than what's keeping me here.
What I've realized with starting when you're unprepared is you're open to different opportunities that you wouldn't have ever thought about because you just took the leap of faith of taking it forward, you know?
100%. It's easier to steer a moving car. And what I've found is default to action, take action, and allow market feedback, internal feedback to direct you.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see things. It's like being in a completely dark hallway, and you're holding a flashlight. You can only see as far ahead as your current position is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're at the door of that hallway, you can only see a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot there in front of you that could teach you that you'll never account for over here. And the only way you're going to discover what you need to learn here, down the hallway, is to take those steps and let that light shine in front of you.
Wow. So I have a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
What would that first step be?
Define the context for me.
Okay, so let's say it's someone that is hesitant, but they have the desire, hesitant about starting, but they feel like their external circumstances aren't on their side to help them, like, go forward.
I'm going to be super practical on two different ones. So, on one way, in whatever city you're in, like in Orlando, we have a small business development center that our tax dollars pay for.
Mhm.
Every major city, town in the U.S. has this resource available where it's already paid for, and you can meet with business consultants at no additional charge. These are people that have experience either in running businesses or running various aspects of those businesses.
Mhm.
That when I started Lyden Communications in 2013, I met with one of those consultants.
Wow.
And then each time I've made changes or iterations, I have met with him, you know, I've met with him back in 2019, and then I met with him again 2 weeks ago. As I was talking about ways of where I wanted to take systematic selling and with my speaking engagements.
Yo,
This
that's what we got to talk about later.
100%. But that is a free resource
Yeah.
that too few people take advantage of. So if I were just now starting out and I was hesitant, I would want to meet with one of those folks
Mhm.
and bounce sanity check what I'm thinking
Yeah.
and go, look, here's what I'm doing now. Here's where I want to go. Can you walk me through what steps I should be taking in order to get there? That is a tangible aspect that you can start doing. The second thing is start sharing your point of view and your on that topic on social platforms, particularly LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that.
Yes, LinkedIn is a powerful way to test your ideas, see what kind of reception they get.
Mm-hmm.
It costs you nothing to do it. It allows you to get ideas out of your head, put them out in the world, and see what happens. What holds people from posting is fear of rejection. People don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. It's a lot of times it's not like the idea is bad. A lot of times it's just I gotta learn how to, write a hook and
Mm-hmm.
get people's attention and then deliver those ideas. But that's a skill you learn only through repetition.
Yeah.
So those are two things. Small Business Development Center. Sanity check your idea. Get some guidance. 2, test your ideas on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome. I thought you had more. My bad. Yeah, this has been straight value. I'm like, I'm waiting for more. All right, so this will be the last question, and we always end our episodes and conversations like this. We got big goals, audacious goals, goals that most people probably won't see now, but I see it now because I'm a firm believer of being my future self now. So when I get there, it's easier to adapt to.
Yeah.
So as far as the Luminary Panel, we want to be able to have, we will have a Netflix series. We'll have traveled and do tours around the country to do the speaking thing I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, we got some big goals. What are some things based off of what you've seen that we need to continue to do or add to our arsenal so that we can reach our goals?
Wow, we met about 6 weeks ago in person, and just to see the growth that I've observed even from him is fantastic. So just as a snapshot, you seem to be on that track.
Thank you.
The thing I would say is continue surrounding yourself with people that are adjacent to those big dreams that you have. Other people that are directly there, and but hey, how did you get there? Can you walk me through it? Or they've done something similar.
Mm.
It's those people that, if it were me, I would be setting up appointments with them and setting up advice and feedback sessions. That's what I call it. Before we did the rebrand at Systematic Selling earlier this year, I scheduled appointments with clients, mentors, anybody that I thought that's well down the road from me. And I called it a feedback and advice session. 30 minutes. Hey, here's what I'm thinking. Where am I, what are my blind spots here?
Mm-hmm.
What do you see I should really be doubling down on?
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you get to like 8, 9, 10 of these points, you start getting a lot of clarity on your roadmap. So identify what your next milestone dream is that fits in that trajectory of where you ultimately want to be, and then find those people that you can meet with who can help you with that.
I appreciate it, sincerely. Where can they find you on social media? Where can they find the book you're doing?
I appreciate it. The book you can find on Amazon. You can also find it on Audible. There's a dedicated website for it, collaborationeffectonprofit.com, where you can find me on social media. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Sean M. Lyden, and also on Twitter at Sean M. Lyden. I've got a newsletter and podcast which you can find at systematicselling.co. No M, that's systematicselling.co.
Perfect. Doesn't he have a radio voice? Every time I hear him, I'm like in heaven, bro. But anyway, thank you guys for watching another episode of the Luminary Panel. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, and spread the value. That's all we're here for. Give people value, give people hope, give people inspiration to take the leap of faith. You already know where you can find me. Peace out.
All right.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Luminary Panel. We hope you found our conversation with Sean Lyden both insightful and inspiring. If you're a founder eager to scale your sales without getting caught in the daily grind, be sure to check out Systematic Selling and explore the 10 essential sales systems Sean highlighted today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Luminary Panel for more inspiring stories and insights from industry leaders. Thanks for joining us, and as always, keep growing, keep shining, and we'll see you soon.